Good morning. Welcome to the Lancaster County Board of Commissioners meeting for Tuesday, May 30th, 2023. I am Krista Yoakum, currently Chair of Lancaster County Commission. To my right is Vice Chair Commissioner Sean Flowerday. To my far right is Commissioner Roma Amundson. To my left is Commissioner Rick Vest, and to my far left is Commissioner Matt Schulte. Please rise and recite the Pledge of Allegiance with us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Clerk, you can start with the announcements.
Location announcement of the Nebraska Open Meetings Act. A copy of the Nebraska Open Meetings Act is located at the wall of the rear of the hearing room. Additionally, all written material to be discussed at today's open meeting is available for electronic viewing from the county clerk's staff. Printing options are available upon request. These materials can also be viewed on the county's website at lancaster.ne.gov. Brings us to item 1 minutes. 1A, approval of the minutes of the Board of Commissioners meeting held on May 23rd, 2023.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. I see no further discussion. Please call the roll.
Vest,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Schulte,
Yep.
Flowerday,
Yes.
Yoakum.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Item B, approval of the minutes of the Board of Commissioners budget meeting held on May 23rd, 2023.
Move approval.
Second. We have a motion and a second. I see no further discussion. Please call the roll.
Flowerday,
Yes.
Vest, Amundson,
Yes.
Schulte,
Yes.
Yoakum.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Item 2, the claims. 2A, approval of the claims processed through May 30th, 2023.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. I see no further discussion. Please call the roll.
Schulte,
Yes.
Flowerday,
Yes.
Vest,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Yoakum.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. 2B, approval of a claim to El Centro de las Americas in the amount of $8,545.64.
Move approval. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Amundson,
Yes.
Schulte,
Yes.
Flowerday,
Yes.
Vest,
Yes.
Yoakum.
I will abstain as I serve on their nonprofit board.
Motion carries 4-0 with an abstention. Item 2B, approval of a claim to Rabble Mill in the amount of $37,088.76.
I move approval.
Second. We have a motion and a second to approve. Please call the roll.
Vest,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Schulte,
Yes.
Flowerday,
Abstain as my wife serves on the board.
Yoakum.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0 with an abstention. Brings us to item 3, the special presentation, the Region 5 Systems Annual Report, Lancaster County Match Update, and other information related to Region 5 by Patrick Kreifels, Region 5 Systems Administrator.
Good morning, Pat. Thank you for being with us this morning.
Thank you for allowing me to come and present. I have some handouts. May I approach
Perfect.
and pass them out?
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you.
Well, my name is Patrick Kreifels, and I'm the Regional Administrator for Region 5 Systems. And I have been in this role since August 29th of 2022. And in an acting capacity, the prior regional administrator, C.J. Johnson, resigned, and then I was permanently appointed to this role January of 2023. I wanted to go over a few things with you today, and the first one in your packet is the county match. So in regards to Nebraska Revised Statute 71808, this is some projections for you in regards to Lancaster County's match. A little bit of foundation in relationship to that. December 2022, the Division of Behavioral Health, the director, submitted their proposal to the governor for the behavioral health aid for the state, and it included $10.3 million, and that was for the provider rate increase, the 15% provider rate increase. And then in January 25th, the governor, Pillen, put his budget forward, and he did not include the $10.3 million. So we have had many discussions over this legislative session with the Appropriations Committee, the senators, respectively, from my area, and the other regional administrators from their area, but Senator Dorn, Senator Wishart, and Senator Clements, to talk about the importance of including that basis in the budget. And the Appropriations Committee did release their budget and did not include that $10.3 million in the budget. Additionally, they did include a 5% provider rate increase over the biennium, the next 2 years. So the first year was 3%, the next year of the biennium was 2%, and they also did not appropriate funds for that, so we'll have to use our existing funds to support the provider rate increase. It's not, the budget isn't final, as you all I know are aware, so we'll see how that kind of plays out. But the first column in your packet here has to do with the county match this fiscal year that we're in, July 1st of 22 through June 30, 23, and we break it out by mental health and substance use. The second grade column is FY 23-24, so next year, that's what we anticipate and believe the county match will be for Lancaster County. The second one in the packet is the total amount. So for example, this year Lancaster County is $1,006,261, and next year we anticipate it going down to $806,383. I just want to talk about the last two columns. I don't think it's going to be feasible that it would happen, but just for your information, in case it did. If they did, the legislature did do a veto and override and appropriate the funds, which I don't believe that's going to happen, that would be your county match. And then if, for instance, the $2.3 million, that's our portion of the $10.3 million statewide. If that was to be put back into the budget, that would be Lancaster County's match for the final two columns. Any questions on that?
Patrick, will you be talking later about what this does, this reduction does to Region 5?
Well,
or do you want to
you can
discuss
talk
that?
about it now a little bit. It's a good question. I appreciate you bringing that up, Commissioner Yoakum. And this is the conversation that we've been having with the senators. It does decrease the capacity of behavioral health services that we can offer to the community and pay for. So Region 5 systems, we are a recovery-oriented behavioral health system of care. So our funds are seen as the last resort funds and more of a safety net, a public safety net. So it's for individuals that are financially eligible, the indigent population that also have severe persistent mental health conditions, or youth that have serious emotional disturbances or severe substance use conditions. So our appropriations to the provider network, it will decrease the number of units that they can see. So they'll be serving people and not receiving our funds or reimbursement for that. So that's the impact. We are trying to navigate and manage this decrease and still support the Family Resource Center and the Adult Family Voluntary Center. Those are important, I think, for the community, and we're still trying to appropriate funds for those two projects because we've heard from the community it's very important. But we'll see as we get a final budget from the state. Yes.
You may know, sir, you may not. Did the $10 million that was not appropriated, did it go to mental health in some other area, or what?
No,
It did
Question, but
not. Okay.
unless it's something I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a good question. I appreciate it, Commissioner Vest, and thank you, Commissioner Flowerday, for speaking up about that. I'm not aware of that, and it's unfortunate. And the governor had said that he believes the regions have the funds within our budget to be able to sustain the provider rate increases, the 17%, and then now this next year the the 5% over this next buy-in, which isn't wrong. We do have those funds available, but they're obligated to different projects. So it's a delicate balance. All right, moving forward through your packet, a few other items. I wanted to just, the long legal sheet is a listing of encounters. So the different service array that Region 5 Systems contracts with the provider network. And then Lancaster County, you can see the different encounters. So it's not necessarily people, but it's individuals that may have come one time or 5 times for the different array of services. And you can see it as compared to other counties, because we serve 16 counties in southeast Nebraska. And then the next one is more crisis-oriented services and some housing services. So for Lancaster County, the crisis response was activated 15 times. They do have the ability, CenterPoint is the provider that is providing that services to serve more people. And it would be great if we saw an increase in that over time. And we've had that discussions with trying to increase awareness amongst the Lincoln Police Department. And I know the Sheriff's Department at the most recent meeting that I had shared that they've used it and find it to be beneficial. And what crisis response is a mental health clinician that will respond to law enforcement if they come upon someone having an emotional distress, behavioral health crises, and need some support or assistance in determining if they should be taken into emergency protective custody. And there's that 2-prong rule. They have to be mentally ill and dangerous to self or others, or if they can be diverted, which is oftentimes what we're hoping to do, is divert and engage them on a voluntary basis. And then you can see emergency protective custodies, 472, professional partner program. The majority of people that are being served are families from Lancaster County. Supported housing, so those are vouchers to people with substance use or mental health conditions, and they meet financial eligibility. And the last one is permanent housing, so we have HUD contracts, and there are individuals that we're serving through Lancaster County through our HUD contracts that are not behavioral health aid money. The last thing I wanted to just briefly talk about is our annual report. Commissioner Pullman from Jefferson County is our chair. You can see him on page 2. But then this last year on page 7, so when I say this last year, fiscal year 21-22, we spent a lot of time in reinvesting funds. So in October of 2020, Medicaid expansion occurred in Nebraska, and so that means more people were eligible for Medicaid and did not utilize our funds as much. And this is where the governor, I think, is coming up with this perspective that the funds, we have the funds available, right? So that's why I say it's not wrong. I mean, it's accurate, but again, we're obligating those to other services and trying to fill gaps and needs and fragmentations in the behavioral health system. So these are just a listing of the different types of services that we brought up, and we redirected $2.3 million within the behavioral health system. And that doesn't include some of the services for the Voluntary Crisis Center for Adults and the Family Resource Center for Youth. That's the main things I wanted to talk to you all about today. Are there any other questions that you have for me?
No, thank you.
Doesn't look like it.
Thank
Thank
you
you
for
very
providing
much.
Thank you. I appreciate your time.
It's such important work that you do. It is
Thank you.
challenging on
Yes.
so many levels.
Yeah. Thank you. Have a good day.
We can move on to the consent items.
Item 4, consent items. These are routine business items that are expected to be adopted without any dissent. Any individual item may be removed for special discussion and consideration by a commissioner or by any member of the public without prior notice. Unless there is an exception, these items will be approved with one single vote of the Board of Commissioners. These items are the approval of A, amendments to the following city contracts, C-17-0240 for BMI Imaging Systems Incorporated to update the term and price for online hosting services. 2, C-22-0145 with Spess Lewis Engineers for on-call structuring engineering consultations related to bridges in Lancaster County. B, right-of-way contracts with the following: Heart of Prairie Farms LLC, North 162nd Street and Davie Road, in the amount of $1,041. 2, Bradley L. and Mary B. Moser, Southwest 42nd Street and West Olive Creek Road, in the total amount of $21,139. 3, Jared L. and Christy D. Moser, Southwest 72nd Street and West Princeton Road, in the amount of $469. 4, Andre J. Herman, Northwest 105th Street and West Bluff Road, in the amount of $217. Utility permit number 2381, allowing Northern Natural Gas to close West Pella Road approximately 250 feet east of Southwest 58th Street for through traffic for the duration of pipe maintenance project. D, grant contract authorizing the Family Violence Council to reimburse Lancaster County for $10,000 paid to the State of Nebraska Office of Probation Administration. E, grant contracts with the following: Girl Scout Spirits of Nebraska for the Juvenile Justice Outreach Program in the amount of $19,966. CASA for Lancaster County for the Court Advocacy and High Risk Crossover Youth Program in the amount of $10,000. The Hub Central Access Point for Young Adults for the Volunteer Coordinator position in the amount of $7,268. Friendship Home of Lincoln for the Emergency Shelter Children's Advocacy Program in the amount of $20,401. The Clyde Malone Community Center for the Leadership Academy in the program in the amount of $33,000. The Clyde Malone Community Center for the Therapy Program in the amount of $38,000. And F, setting a public hearing on Tuesday, June 20th, 2023 at 9 a.m. regarding an amusement license application from Susan Cronin to hold a Grounded Nebraska Gravel Festival, June 23rd through 25th, 2023 at 16531 South 38th Street, Roca, Nebraska.
Move approval of the consent items.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent items. I see no further discussion. Please call the roll.
Flowerday,
Yes.
Vest,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Schulte,
Yes.
Yocum.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Brings us to item 5, new business. 5A, resolution in the matter of transferring appropriations from the general fund miscellaneous budget to various general fund agencies. The total amount to be transferred is $136,830.
All right, good morning. Dennis Meyer, County Budget and Fiscal Director. Today is kind of the first piece of cleaning up the fiscal year 22-23 budget. So this resolution is really taking into effect a couple different business units that we have within the general fund. And the two that we are talking about in this resolution is the Register of Deeds Technology for $21,830, and then the Election Commissioner for $115,000. So both these business units are within the general fund, so we're just moving spending authority there. So it is not affecting the overall general fund budget. It's just moving it to cover those couple business units to get those cleaned up. As we've been going through budget hearings, we've also talked with other departments that really kind of get into, we've got a few others that are on the watch list. Fiscal year ends June 30th. So this is just kind of the beginning that we need to take care of now. And then we'll kind of watch through the month of June to see if we've got others that we'll have to clean up before the end of the fiscal year.
Thank you for this. Any questions?
I move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Please call the roll.
Schulte,
Yes.
Flowerday,
Yes.
Vest,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Yocum.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Item 5B, an amusement license application from Sue Coles, Prairie Pines Partners for the Meadow Lark Music Festival, July 8th, 2023 at 3100 North 112th Street, Lincoln.
Good morning.
Good morning. Once again, before you, we have at Prairie Pines Nature Preserve on 112th and Adams. We have two events coming up. I'm the coordinator of the Prairie Pines Partners nonprofit. We are responsible for programming and access to the Prairie Pines Nature Preserve. The property is owned by the University Foundation and leased by the Institute of Agriculture and Natural Resources. So we are a collaboration of those parties. As far as the Metal Arc, we collaborate with them on this date to have one of their concerts outdoors in the Arboretum. It's very well attended. It's a good fit for music. And then on August 5th is our annual Run for the Pines. It's a cross-country style race on our trails. And we have music afterwards and food and so forth. So no changes. We've done these 3 years in a row, and we appreciate the support of the board.
So those are events that are enjoyed by all. I would move approval of 5B.
I would second. I'd just say, Sue, thanks for coming down, and thanks for continuing to do this and provide these opportunities for our community. It's just tremendous. One of the reasons we have such a great community is people like you doing this.
Thank you very much.
I second.
We have a motion and a second to approve item 5B. Please call the roll.
Amundson,
Yes.
Schulte,
Yes.
Flowerday,
Yes.
Vest,
Yes.
Yocum.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
I thought I approved.
Did you approve both?
That was my goal, but I would move
Well,
approval of C.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve 5C. Please call the roll.
Vest,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Schulte,
Yes.
Flowerday,
Yes.
Yocum.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. 5D, the agreement with the Nebraska Administrative Office of Courts and Probation for 2 probation officers to provide pre-sentence investigation report services. The cost of the county is $71,623.
Move approval.
Did you want to speak on this? Yeah, please.
Saw your smiling face back.
Good morning, Jeff Curry, Adult Probation, Chief Probation Officer. I just want to say, I think this is a great working agreement with the state of Nebraska and the county. I think we've done it for many years, and it's been very effective. I think we get people out of the jail quicker, and that's always a positive for everyone. So, and I think we do show significant cost savings compared to when without this, you know, pre-sentence investigations done outside the jail average a little over 60 days. With this agreement, we're, you know, mid 30 days on average. So I think that's a significant decrease in time getting the pre-sentence investigations done. So I think that's great for the community. You know, we're saving several days of people not being in jail. So that's always a great thing. In addition, generally we never, the cost is never 71,000 or close to that. Last year, it was $49,272. This fiscal year, it will only be $52,000. So,
Very good.
I would agree with this presentation. We had it at Justice Council too, and just for everybody's information, Director Johnson also concurs with Brad's, you're not Brad, sorry, Jeff, with Jeff's conclusions that this is helpful, and I would second Roma's motion.
Very good. We have a motion and a second to approve item D. Please call the roll.
Flowerday,
yes.
Vest,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Schulte,
Yes.
Yocum.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Item 5E, contracts with the following to provide the annual supply of sheriff uniform clothing and accessories. Godfrey's Tactical Supply in the amount not to exceed $17,000, and Municipal Emergency Services Incorporated doing business as MES Mid-America in the amount not to exceed $10,000.
Move approval V.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve these contracts. Please call the roll.
Schulte,
Yes.
Flowerday,
Yes.
Vest,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Yocum.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
No, was that the pink tan pants vote?
I was just
If that's
waiting.
the pink tan
pants vote. We always acknowledge it every year, so I want,
It certainly must be, because I don't think the color scheme has
I think
changed.
Terry feels like he's educated us on that.
oh, he has.
And it
Alright.
could be why no one from the sheriff's department was present, because.
That's valid. That's super valid.
We don't know
Yeah,
by
they've done
now.
the education.
Yeah, I think they
Exactly.
have.
We can move on to item F, 5F.
5F is a contract with Qualifax Systems LLC to Credible Platform Software License SS-204. The cost of the county is not to exceed $380,000.
Morning.
Good morning. Scott Heatherton with the Mental Health Crisis Center. This is a 5-year renewal of a previous 5-year contract for our EHR system. It's not, it's very close to the same price that we were paying for before for the services for the next 5 years. So Qualifax has revamped the way they did things and such, and it actually seems to have worked out pretty good for us at this point. So.
Good, I know it took a while
Yeah,
to get this contract together, but you've got all the features to it that you needed now?
Yeah.
Very good.
I'm sorry, what does EHR stand for?
Electronic health record.
Okay, thank you. I'll move approval of F.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Seeing no further discussion, please call the roll.
Amundson,
Yes,
Schulte,
Yes.
Flowerday,
Yes.
Best,
Yes.
Yocum.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. 5G, a recommendation from the Voluntary Crisis Response Center Request for Proposals Review Committee to award up to $2.3 million in Lancaster County American Rescue Plan Act ARPA funds to the Bridge Behavioral Health for capital improvements to the program.
I would move that we deny the recommendation. Fundamentally, given how the last major contract went, there are other contracts, but given how the last major contract went, I just don't think that Lancaster County should start by rebuilding this with federal dollars, that if something went wrong, we would have to try to get the money back. And it would put Lancaster County in too much jeopardy. So I just,
Well, we don't have a second.
We need a second.
so I recommend denial, or I move for denial.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Now we may have discussion.
Good morning. My name is Tammy Stevenson. I'm the Executive Director at the Bridge Behavioral Health. I would like to clarify or address your concerns in terms of the last contract. I fulfilled all of the contractual obligations with Lancaster County in terms of the $200,000 grant that was used to provide civil protective custody services. I'm not sure, but what I believe Commissioner Flowerday is referring to is in October of 2021, in the midst of the pandemic, we had a staffing crisis. As you know, as everyone knows, there was a shortage of nurses. There continues to be a shortage of nurses. And there were facilities who were closing wings and closing units all over the state, all over the country. In October of 2021, I proposed that we temporarily close civil protective custody in order for me to get the necessary staffing. It's a 24/7 program that requires certain number of licensed staff, of which I did not have because I had 2 open positions and then I had 2 nurses who had resigned. Due to the flexibility that Region 5 gave me for our voluntary program, I never closed civil protective custody. That program remained open through the end of that contract. So I fulfilled all of those contractual obligations and was never in breach of contract with Lancaster County. I attempted to renegotiate that contract for fewer beds, and the city of Lincoln was not interested in contracting for fewer beds. So it was a terrible position to be in, but it was in October of 2021 during the pandemic. All of my peer providers were having to cap services and having to redo things differently because we were in the middle of a pandemic with a shortage of healthcare workers. The Bridge Behavioral Health has done business with Lancaster County for 40 years. and we have never been in breach of contract since that time. 95% of the referrals from Lancaster County Community Corrections comes to our short-term treatment program. We have another contract with a 24/7 sobriety program where we utilize substance use respite. We have a fantastic partnership with Lancaster County, and I would really be sad that our community cannot move forward with this project because of 1 month in our contract of over 40 years of providing that service, considering it was a nursing shortage in the middle of the pandemic. As a small nonprofit with less than 50 employees, we had very few resources available to us. But we did the best, and I'm certainly incredibly proud the fact that we kept our doors open to law enforcement every single day during the pandemic. We have never closed our doors. If there are any questions about the contract or what we're doing to secure staff, I would be happy to answer those.
I had the chance to get out and visit the bridge and see the great work that they're doing. You mentioned several different things that you're doing in collaboration with community corrections and other things like
Yes.
that, and I really appreciate that. I don't see any reason why this shouldn't move forward. I mean, I think you gave a very sufficient explanation today, as well as when I had the chance to come visit you and see what was going on. So I appreciate the work you're doing, and I'd like to see you take advantage of these ARPA dollars and put them in the right place.
Thank you.
Other comments?
I don't think I have any questions
Okay.
at this time.
Thank you. Is there anyone else to speak on this matter? We can proceed to a vote.
Commissioner Vest?
Before I vote, I'm just going to say that I do agree that the bridge is doing a lot of good work, and I appreciate all of that. I think at this time, my vote is no, and I'd be glad to discuss
Is-
that
Okay.
later.
Yeah, we have to define this. as
Oh,
your-
my no, it is yes, to
Because,
deny.
because, yeah,
Okay.
okay, yes,
No
The
vote
motion
the
was to deny.
contract, yes to deny. So, anyway, the short story is, I vote yes.
Amundson?
Yes.
Schulte?
No.
Flowerday?
yes.
Yocum?
This does not come easy, but I do vote yes.
Motion carries 4-1. Which brings us to item H, agreement with Felsberg, Holt, and Olvig for on-call general engineering services as requested by the county engineer. The term is approximately 1 year. The cost of the county is not to exceed $5,000.
Pam Dingman, Lancaster County Engineer. This item is for on-call services from Felsberg, Holt, and Ulevig, which it's always a hard name to say at the microphone. It is for on-call services. Sometimes we need more technical assistance and detailed technical assistance with our roads and advice for grants, as well as traffic engineering, and this is what would help us with that.
Move approval.
Second,
We have a motion and a second to approve. Please call the roll.
Flowerday?
yes.
Vest?
Yes.
Amundson?
Yes.
Schulte?
Yes.
Yocum?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. 5I, contract with Midwest Infrastructure Incorporated for ARPA culvert maintenance Phase 2. The cost of the county is not to exceed $694,371.33.
Pam Dingman, Lancaster County Engineer. The exhibit that I am showing up on the overhead is for Phase 2 of the ARPA pipes. It's one of 4 phases, and I don't think we have enough funding to get to the 4th phase. But fortunately, we have enough funding to get to the 2nd phase, and so we are recommending that Midwest Infrastructure go ahead and help us out with this, and that's why I'm bringing this forward to you today.
Move approval.
Second,
We have a motion and a second to approve. Please call the roll.
Schulte?
Yes.
Flowerday?
yes.
Vest?
Yes.
Amundson?
Yes.
Yocum?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. 5J, contract with Pavers Incorporated for South 56th Street and countywide asphalt resurfacing and patching. The cost of the county is not to exceed $1,087,775.55.
Pam Dingman, Lancaster County Engineer. The exhibit that I have placed on the overhead, trying to make sure we get all the spots, shows the locations at which we are either doing overlay and or large-scale patching. These would be patches that are so large that we are unable to do them efficiently or effectively ourselves. You may notice that due to our aggressive asphalt maintenance program, that our overlay is actually very little this year, which is really what we want to see. We want to see that we're preserving those slabs before we get to the overlay point. So here is this year's program, and we would ask for your approval.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Please call the roll.
You got it on that one.
Amundson,
Yes.
Schulte,
Yes.
Flowerday,
Yes.
Vest,
Yes.
Yocum.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Brings us to 5K, contract with Blackstrap Incorporated for the annual supply of road salt. The cost of the county is not to exceed $558,000.
Lancaster County Engineer Pam Dingman, I almost missed this one. So you may not be aware that we buy all of our salt in the summer because that's when it's cheapest and we have the time to handle it. You also may not be aware that due to modernization of our overall operation, we now use 20% of the salt that we used 10 years ago. This is significant because once you put it into the environment, you can't get it out of the environment. It's just there. So this is our annual salt for this year. We fill up the domes, and we hope that we have a winter that doesn't empty the domes. If the domes all get emptied, we start again, and it's, of course, much more expensive, but this is what we have for now.
Thank you for that.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve.
I guess I'll make one comment. This is by far the most salt I've ever bought.
True that.
We had,
That's true.
in like 2020, the heart of 2020, we were doing, like, there was a salt and gravel shortage nationwide. And we were buying just as much as we could in any amount, anywhere, because we knew, because we weren't sure we would get more. I think, didn't we make a $3 million salt purchase at one time? That just like lasted us for like 2 years or something?
It was significant.
It was big. I don't
It was
remember-
significant.
I don't remember the number now,
You know,
but it
those
was-
were some winners. We've been gifted with some very good winners the last couple years, and so I don't know whether that gift will continue, Commissioner Flowerday. I would personally like to see us get a little more moisture because we're in trouble in Lancaster County. But so far, and the people always ask, and so I know inevitably is now that we've had the discussion, I'll get a call from someone saying, so what did you do with all your extra money that you didn't use for salt or gravel or to maintain the roads? And the reality is we have no snow budget. And so when we don't spend that money on snow removal, we use that money to maintain the roads and the bridges.
Right.
So, thank you.
Absolutely.
Please call the roll.
Vest,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Schulte,
Yes.
Flowerday,
Yes.
Yocum.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. 5L is a grant contract with El Centro de las Americas for the youth program in the amount of $25,000.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Please call the roll.
Flowerday,
Yes.
Vest,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Schulte,
Yes.
Yocum.
Again, I will abstain from this vote as I serve on their board.
Motion carries 4-0 with an abstention. 5M, a grant contract with Rabble Mill for the after-school clubs at the Bay program in the amount of $33,000.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Please call the roll.
Schulte,
Yes.
Flowerday,
Abstain.
Vest,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Yocum.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0 with an abstention. 5N, grant contract with the Mediation Center for the Restorative Justice Practices Program in the amount of $14,370.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Please call the roll.
Amundson,
Yes.
Schulte,
Yes.
Flowerday,
Yes.
Vest,
Abstain.
Yocum.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0 with an abstention. Brings us to item 6, the legislative update.
We got a little bit of it with our Region 5 report. I don't think we have
Let
anything
it end.
else.
I don't know.
Okay.
we can move on to the public comment.
Item 7, public comment. Those wishing to speak in items related to county business not on the agenda may do so at this time.
Robert Bohr, good morning, public servants. We all know that the salvation of the state is watchfulness in the citizen. We just want you to know that we are awake and we are now watching. Since our last meeting, I secured a copy of each of your oaths. Quoting from that oath in part, I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state of Nebraska against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, etc., so help me God. You also just repledged your allegiance to our republic and to liberty and justice for all. In the U.S. Constitution, no law shall be made prohibiting the free exercise of religion or abridging the right of the people to peaceably assemble. So you swore to support that, and in our Nebraska State Constitution, the preamble reads, "We, the people, grateful to Almighty God for our freedom, do ordain and establish the following Declaration of Rights and frame of government as the Constitution of the state of Nebraska." Article 1, again, just to remind you from last week, all persons are by nature free and independent and have certain inherent and inalienable rights. Among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and such rights shall not be denied or infringed by the state or any subdivision thereof. Article 2 speaks to slavery. It outlaws slavery. Article 22 says that we have the right to exercise the elective franchise without hindrance or impediment. By way of commentary, Thomas Paine rightly said the right of voting is the right that secures all other rights. Take that right away and we are reduced to slavery. Take away our right to a transparent and verifiable elective franchise and you have effectively reduced us to slaves. We're not going to allow it, but that's what you're trying to do. There's a lot of people that have succumbed. You are currently funding a corrupt elective franchise that does exactly that. It will reduce us to slaves. There are no emergency exception clauses in either constitution to the free exercise of our God-given rights. Emergencies have long been the Trojan horse of tyranny and tyrants. It would appear to me and many others that you have not been faithful to your oaths, and it breaks our hearts. When the power-hungry queen upstairs declared her allegiance to the globalists and their subversive rights-denying pandemic, did any of you come to the defense of our Constitution and our God-given rights? I don't think so. When Baird started shutting small businesses down, I asked Sheriff Wagner the same. I've got his oath of office as well. If he was interested in opposing and in this unconstitutional and criminal, quote-unquote, government activity. I hope he's listening. He said no. His oath meant nothing to him either. I filed public records requests with the local weaponized communist quote-unquote health department and our weaponized communist state medical director, asking both of them for the science behind their novel deadly contagion. Did any of you do that? I knew they didn't have any, but I wanted to expose them. I wanted them on record. Sure enough, they had nothing. I knew it was a scam. I refused to comply with any of the retarded, irrational, unhealthy, unscientific, and unconstitutional mandates. Moreover, my wife and I traveled far and wide, off and on, during the entire scam. Acting completely normal the entire time and finding and enjoying the fellowship of literally tens of thousands of like-minded people. We couldn't find your big, bad, novel, deadly boogeyman anywhere. How is this? I asked the local health department directly. Oh, you're just lucky. Tells me they don't know what the first thing about science. Baird never bothered to tell anyone that the definition of a case was nothing more than a positive result to a bogus lab test. No symptoms or illness required. Moreover, if you tested more than once, you were considered multiple cases. What a scam. It was mass propaganda and mass fear-mongering with all the damage done by incentivized medical malpractice. I looked high and low across the state for one elected member of any branch of local and state government that took an oath and stayed true to that oath by using their bully pulpit to call out the tyranny. Hey, you communist mayor over there in Lincoln, Nebraska, sit down and shut up. You're infringing on the rights of my fellow citizens. If you don't stop, I'm going to come down and we're going to run you out of town on a rail. Did I find one person? Maybe in other states I did, but not in Nebraska. I could not find one member who stayed true to their oath and exhibited solidarity with their fellow citizens, not in Nebraska. As long as they continued drawing their taxpayer-funded paychecks, you all were fine. Never mind the private sector that couldn't draw a paycheck.
That's your time, sir. Thank you.
Accountability is coming.
Is there anyone else here to speak during the open comments?
Hi, my name is Connie Renke. I was here last week. Just wanted to expand on the affidavits that I brought forward to Deb Shore over a year ago, which nothing that I know of has been done, or would like to know if you have an accounting of those affidavits. These affidavits are sworn testimony from Nebraska citizens describing what they saw or what happened to them during the 2020 election, and this has not been corrected. These nefarious incidents include voting processes not being followed accurately, refusal to actually verify signature matches on both mail-in and registrations, several types of identity fraud, excessive absentee ballot requests, multiple unrequested ballots to a single voter, excessive, potentially fraudulent duplicate ballots mailed that go undetected. It was also reported that people mailed in requests, received ballots, and subsequently voted by mail and were not listed on the voter rolls as having voted. This is what was in the 39 affidavits that were given. It was also identified that people went to vote at their polling location and were told they already voted, most likely due to identity theft or someone voting by mail before they got to the polls. It was also reported that people mailed in requests and received ballots voted by mail and then were not listed on the voter rolls. Over 10 Lancaster individuals, and there were more across the state, but received multiple ballots that were unrequested. Some of their clerks reported they did not send out 1 to 4 extra ballots. This is illegal to distribute ballots other than from the county commissioner, the election commissioner, who mailed these ballots. This is either maladministration or somebody breaking into our election system by mailing these. These are Nebraska citizens on these affidavits reporting these potential crimes. Each crime has the potential to negate the vote of another Nebraskan trying to have their vote counted accurately and resulting in a government that they select. This could be your vote that was negated. Nebraska voter accuracy has proven beyond any reasonable doubt that Nebraska 2020 election, and because nothing has been done since then, the 2020 election was riddled with fraud. That's what we investigated the most. Secretary Evans says if fraud works, you don't know about it. These are affidavits stating there is something wrong. We understand there are huge vulnerabilities with the machines, and then these mail-in ballots are a primary vehicle where fraud has occurred, and we've seen this through the affidavits that are shown here. I would warn, if someone is aware of potential election fraud and does not investigate, there are consequences. This commission has authority over Lancaster County. The cast vote record, which was mentioned last week, is needed to prove or disprove fraud in the most recent Lancaster County election. And as I stated last week, and I did the handouts, that was an example. The Excel spreadsheet was an example of what a cast vote record is. The votes that come in are in a pattern to a point that is unnatural. It's a controlled pattern that can be seen through this cast vote record. We need you to get the cast vote record and would ask you to do that to prove or disprove this past election was fraudulent or not.
Thank you. That's your time.
Mhm.
Hello, my name is Brad Reinke from here in Lincoln, and I'm going to complain a little bit, but try to do it with a smile on my face as well. I have to tell you a story first, very quickly. Thank you for your undivided attention for 5 minutes. Please consider for a moment you checked your family bank account and found that $5,000 was missing from your account. You talked to a teller about the problem, and you were told that your calculations were wrong. You checked and rechecked your numbers and are confident that $5,000 is missing. You talked to the bank manager about this issue, and you are told repeatedly that you are mistaken about the missing money from your account. Not being a financial professional yourself, not having the time or money to fight this, and not knowing what to do, you plan a meeting with the bank board at a regular scheduled meeting. The first meeting, you are given strictly 5 minutes max to make your case, and again you are told you are in error about the missing cash from your account. The bank board tells you that they've done a partial audit and found no problems, but policy gives you strictly 5 minutes max to make your case at regular meetings. You are not allowed to use any institutional records or staff time, and not allowed to view their audit results to get to the bottom of this missing money. How would that not make you very angry? Get swift legal help and force them to cooperate with the professional external audits to get your funds back. In our similar story, you see the frustration these responsible Nebraska citizens are having with election maladministration and manipulation numbers in the machines and software. We have properly filed 5+ public record requests, but have been denied legal access to cast vote record, which is also told exactly how to get that in this overhead. Lancaster and all 92 Nebraska counties to analyze the files prove fraud does not exist in Nebraska, as fraud has been proven on the same ES&S systems and software in many counties and other states where CVRs were properly released to the citizens. Furthermore, the Secretary of State did not analyze, or has not that I know of, analyzed the CVRs in large counties such as Lancaster, Hall, Dodge, Sarpy, to prove to himself and all party affiliates the elections are honest and fair, thereby giving us desperately needed confidence in our precious elections again. I am asking you to study the truth for yourself by demanding the CVRs from Lancaster County for years 20, 21, 2, and 3, honestly, and have them honestly analyzed by a trustworthy software and computer professional, and then communicate honestly with us. Matt, would you help us do that? By the way, my vote canceled by reckless registration files, fraudulent vote by machine, no chain of custody mail-in vote, or lost votes is worth much more than $5,000. Our children and grandchildren's future is at stake. Show me progress on this travesty this week. Do not treat us like idiots or criminals. Thank you for 5 minutes of your precious time. And here are some.
Good morning. My name is Paisa Smanik. I also was here last week, and last week I quoted somebody that I really admire. He's from Australia. His name, I told you the wrong pronunciation of his name last week. I believe it's Ricardo Bossi, not Bosey, like I said. And the quote that I like that he is trying to rally all Australians with is, when is the last time that you did something for the first time? And I know we just came off of a vacation weekend, so you probably didn't have time. I was traveling, so I also didn't have time to do a whole lot of things for the first time. But we are imploring you commissioners to please look into this. There are many of us that have been working on this since 2020 as part of the Nebraska Voter Accuracy Project. We believe there are things that have happened in Lancaster County as well as the rest of our state and our nation. And I realize I didn't know a lot about a lot of things, and I would be the very last person that anybody would come to if there was a problem with something that involved anything technical. But that's why we are giving you names and programs that you can go to. There are I don't know how many of you have looked at Dr. Frank's presentation. He's a mathematician and a physicist, and he is very good at explaining it so that you understand algorithms and charts and graphs that he presented. Colonel Sean Smith, he presented to the legislature, and he talked about the machines. That would be like something I am horrible at, but people that specialize in it, and I'm sure that the five of you could not say that you are all equally as gifted in every single thing as the person sitting next to you, because we all have things that, okay, we don't know very much about, so you have to look into it. That's what we're asking you to do. Please look into this. When all of us went to these presentations and heard people present, our eyes were open to things that maybe we didn't believe at first. Like at first, I thought, okay, it was the rest of the nation that had problems, but not Nebraska. But then you go to these presentations, and it's like, what? So please, we are asking you, look into this. Again, when is the last time you did something for the first time? We're asking you to look into some of these things. We think your eyes will be open just as ours were. And plus, it's your duty. We are your bosses, and we're asking you to do this. And pretty soon, we're not going away. Pretty soon, it's not going to be, we're not asking anymore. We're saying, you're going against your oath of office. We don't want to do that. We want you to come on board with us and see that, there are things that are happening that are wrong. So, thank you.
Good morning. My name's Dwayne Rauscher, and I just wanted to speak with you a little bit about the election and the machines and things like that. That we, have been looking into different things. I did some canvassing too. Went door to door and found things that shouldn't happen in our state. And you would think in Nebraska those things should not happen. We're a very conservative nation, but state. Even though, we can have problems, there's issues within our voting system. And I would suggest, that voter cast records would be a good place to start, but I also think you should think about doing investigative audit on that last election we had. The local one, it was fairly small, so it wouldn't be as expensive as doing if you did one where there's a federal election involved in it. So this would be a place, I think, a good place to start, to looking into, go ahead and hiring a forensic audit and have them actually take a look at that and see how far you can get. Because my concern is that you're being squashed because of the administrations above you. Do you think you have flexibility and you can do something? I think you need to get off the couch, start looking into this, and start doing something that's going to be a benefit and right the ship, because right now we're sinking. We have no way to recover. We need you. We've hired you to do the job for us. So we need that input from you to start doing some research and checking it out and getting the evidence that we need to show that we do have voter issues going on. So thank you.
Hello, my name is Laura Rauscher, and I spoke before you once before, a few weeks ago. But I, too, was part of knocking on doors in the wintertime and hearing face-to-face with voters who were very discontent. They reported much what Connie already reported to you. Too many ballots coming their way, people voting from the address that don't live there, things of that sort. It does happen here in Lancaster County. And so we really do need to look into it. And we have been writing letters, making phone calls. Mr. Evnan says it's the most secure election ever. Did we hear that? It was parroted all over every national TV, everything you could listen to. It was the most secure election ever in 2022. Anyway, it wasn't the most secure. And we need to do something about it. And when we talked to Bob Evnan about getting the cast vote records, they're unattainable. When we go to our county commissioner, county election commissioners, they're told by Evnan's office that they're unattainable. But in the ES&S manual, there's the how to print them out. It is attainable. They're not willing to do it. I personally do not want any more voting machines, period. I had an aunt and uncle who hand counted here in Lancaster County. They did it every election. It was simple. You do it locally. By the next morning, it was announced the winners, and they were accurately done. It can be done, and it can be done at a cost, so cost effective, so much cheaper than these machines run. Please don't put another dime. I know you're doing, I hope you haven't already voted for it, for the election machines, but you're looking at that right now in budget, or you have. Don't put another dime in it. We voters are trying to get the machines out of here. We're working through our legislature. We're talking to them too. Please, listen to us, please. It's your voice too. Your vote's not counting either, not accurately. These machines can change anything. Once it's in the machine, it can change it. So please, listen to your public. Thank you for your time.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak during public comment?
Good morning. George Olmer is my name, 4241 Cripple Creek Road. I've sat here just my second time, and I gotta say that I'm remiss on not being in this room oftener than I should have been. I was a small part of the voter accuracy. In the small part that I did, I found several of those instances. One case, walked up and the individual come around the corner of the house and well, who are you? And I said, I'm doing this, asking whether your vote was registered as stated on the records. And she says, well, I voted, but I then said, what about these other 4 people? They're living here, I assume. And she said, who are you talking about? This was one example. Another example is I kept driving around the block trying to find a location. There was voting coming out of a location that wasn't there. This is a couple examples of what we're finding around the nation. I guess I'm one that more involved in looking international, what's going on. I've been listening to oodles and oodles of that. Dr. Frank was mentioned. I watched his presentation. He comes to a conclusion of, and does it mathematically, I guess we use that term with him. He will come out and state that virtually every county in this country, having done close to 20 states extensively, that there's discrepancies going on. I would like to say, going back, to me, a eye-opener should have been to everyone out here in the 2020 election. When you went to bed that night, or most of us did, what was the situation in 5 critical states that were going to decide that election? Something happened overnight in a dramatic form. Suddenly, we have a big switch in the morning. We have a drawn-out affair of getting these votes counted. How do we explain that? We've had, this didn't happen in the old days of hand voting or hand counting, but we can't get it done with machines. Every indication is of those that are studying it nationwide in depth, putting their lives on hold to study it and look at it, say these machines are open to manipulation. ES&S, which is, I believe, our machines in this state, they're right up here in Omaha, biggest in the country as I understand it. One of their people admits that they are open to being hacked. And so it is, how do we trust that in a free country? It's one of the quickest ways we can lose this. I think we're talking about voter ID out here, and there's importance in that. We're talking about, how do we do absentee ballots and so forth. And that would be a heavy discussion in my mind at the state legislature on how to determine to really inspect signatures and so forth and count on that. But bigger than all that, in my mind, by far, is what they will do with machines. People have studied this, and we'll mention his name. That individual, to me, is a patriot and a hero. Mike Lindell, you've heard his name, I'm sure, the My Pillow Man. That man has put his life's wealth into this effort. And they have studied how 50 countries, we got 190 some countries today they count as nations. 50, some of them, as they have looked at it, have been controlled by machines. And that has changed those governments. The most recent one that is going to be disastrous, quite disastrous, is Brazil. Brazil was stolen by machines. Heavy surveys were done down there to prove that that was not the vote that was taking place on the ground, but it was done by machines. Any questions?
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak?
Good morning. My name is Jeannie Greisen, and I really wasn't going to talk today until I was just reading some things, and I find it very interesting. And I'm just going to point it out that on 3 grants that are awarded, 2 of our members have to sit out because there's conflict of interest. And So 2 out of 5 can't vote on certain grants, money going out to 501c3 nonprofits. So 2/3 of them, there's a conflict of interest. That raises a lot of questions that I'm going to do a lot of digging, because if that's what's going on with Lancaster County and our money, that there's conflict of interest and there's funneling money to certain agencies that you guys are tied to, that's a huge problem. Thank you.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak today? Seeing none, we can move on to the announcements.
The Lancaster County Board of Commissioners will hold a staff meeting on Tuesday, May 30th, 2023, immediately following the regular meeting of Room 112 of the County City Building. Lancaster County Board of Commissioners will hold a staff meeting, including budget hearings, on Thursday, June 1st, 2023 at 8:30 a.m. in Room 112 of the County City Building. Lancaster County Board of Commissioners will hold its next regular meeting on Tuesday, June 6, 2023 at 9 a.m. with the Board of Equalization immediately following in Room 112 of the County City Building. The County Commissioners can be reached at 402-441-7447 or commish@lancaster.ne.gov. Lancaster County Commissioners meeting is broadcast live on LNK TV. LNK TV is available on Allo Channel 2 and Spectrum Channel 1300. For the rebroadcast schedule, visit lincoln.ne.gov. Meetings are also streamed live on YouTube and Facebook. LNK TV apps are available on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire TV. Next thing I have is reserved for executive session.
I move that we go into executive session for the purpose of pending and potential litigation and legal advice and to protect the public interest.
Second.
At 10:13 a.m.
Second at 10:13.
We have a motion and a second to go into executive session. Please call the roll.
Vest,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Schulte,
Yes.
Flowerday,
Yes.
Yocum.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
We are now in executive session for pending and potential
I move that we come out of executive session at 10:38 a.m.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to come out of executive session at 10:38 a.m. Please call the roll.
Flowerday,
Yes.
Vest,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Schulte,
Yes.
Yocum.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Move we adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. Please call the roll.
Schulte,
Yes.
Flowerday,
Yes.
Vest,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Yocum.
Yes.
Motion carries. We're adjourned.